The alleged assassin of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, Luigi Mangione, has awoken a bit of a class consciousness within working people. I mean, there are polls showing that a lot of people are blaming that assassination on mainly healthcare costs, and healthcare denials. About 70% of respondents to an NORC poll, for example, were like, yeah, no, we blame, put a lot of the blame for this assassination on those things, on the greed of healthcare companies. Now, that class consciousness, of course, is scaring the hell out of the elites. Fearful of copycat attacks, many of the nation's wealthy are now searching for private security, which has now made the list of one of the fastest growing jobs for the first time. Social media platform LinkedIn recently released its 2025 report titled Jobs on the Rise, and security guards have finally, for the first time, snuck into the top 10. Experts say that demand for private security may climb even higher as business leaders fear for their own safety following the CEO's killing in broad daylight, reported Fortune. So yeah, they are quite worried, quite concerned. Now, Glenn Kucera, president of Enhanced Protection Services at Allied Universal, said, "We're getting calls from everybody. Demand for the security business follows events. There's a specific incident that companies say, I need to protect my executives. I need to protect my employees from this happening again." Look, I would say that there's an easier way to prevent this, and that would be to stop robbing your customers. United Healthcare was using a faulty AI, which I actually think that the AI model that they used was designed to do this, that denied 90% of Medicare Advantage claims. 90% denial. Overall, the company denied a third of all claims. That is the most amount of claims denied, while they made billions of dollars. People suffered, people died as a result of these denials. Okay, when you're dealing with a major medical issue, time is of the essence. But these denials have made it so that you sometimes spend weeks, months on the phone arguing with insurance companies. Hey, I need to be able to do this test or to get this medication or to get this surgery. I need it now. And these companies are like, and of course it drags it out to a point where, sorry, it's too late. The cancer has spread to other parts of your body now. It is metastasized, or, oh, sorry, you're probably going to die now, or suffer permanent disability as a result of waiting for these insurance companies to finally, if you can even convince them to cover it, something that they should have covered beforehand. Again, making billions of dollars. They have blood on their hands. Maybe, I don't know, you wouldn't need private security if you stopped doing that. Or maybe stop bribing politicians to block things like Medicare for all. Or, stop blocking a public option. Remember, the healthcare industry, specifically the pharmaceutical industry, is one of the biggest donors to both political parties, spending millions, billions of dollars in lobbying, buying our politicians. But no. Instead of, not doing any of that stuff, they're going to take their profits and they're going to invest in private security, which shouldn't surprise anyone. Okay. Now, Dave Commandant, former chief security officer for Boeing. Oh boy, Boeing. There's another company that has not a very good reputation right now for safety. Apparently, he's now a founder of a risk services company, which again, working for Boeing. Yeah, kind of tracks. Boards and CEOs are already going to their chief security officer asking, what do we have in place? What systems? What tools? What bosses do we have to identify threats? This is one of those incidents that causes people to stop and look at their current program that they have in place. I would say that is the wrong thing to be focusing on. But once again, it shouldn't be surprising that they say, no, we didn't do anything wrong. We have done nothing wrong. And actually, when it comes to corporations, they're kind of right in the whole idea that a corporation is simply an amoral profit-making machine. Their only purpose is the fiduciary responsibility to maximize profits. So when it comes down to that, when you remove all the humanity from all of this, and I've got more on that too, some ironic stuff on that on this list. When you remove the humanity from business, well then, this is what you get. You get a business that prioritizes profits over people. And that's what we have in our healthcare industry. Now, the rest of the list, as I talked about, security guards, as I mentioned, ranked 10th, right? You know, it's number 1 and 2. Artificial intelligence jobs, specifically engineers and consultants. They're ranked now at the top as the fastest growing jobs. That's right. We got AI now. AI related jobs soaring. Once again, literally removing humanity, okay, from the arts, from, I mean, pretty much everywhere that they could stuff AI into. Business, even removing humanity from social media. Meta recently announced that they were going to start putting out literal fake AI generated profiles. People that have pictures, profiles, you can chat with them, okay? But they're not real people. They can share content. So, you know, you have these robots that are pretty much taking away over everything. And again, AI, these machines, which is not true intelligence, right? They suck up both a massive amount of electricity, which drives climate change, and water. California is currently on fire, okay, to produce nothing but slop. And yet those two jobs related to those, fastest growing jobs in America. And then in 10th, you've got private security for wealthy CEOs. That's a disaster. And of course, you know, these AI models have to train on stolen artwork and articles, right? So they got computers that are doing the art, and you got the humans doing the BS jobs, okay? Just essentially protecting rich people and their property. That's horrible. But let me go through the rest of the list, because it's not as bad. I mean, physical therapists, for example, they rate as the 3rd fastest growing job, so that's good. Okay, that's a humanities job, right? Medical job. Workforce development managers placed 4th, and travel advisors rounded out the top 5. Travel advisors, who's traveling these days? Not working class people, that's for sure. And then, of course, you have, you know, all these other jobs, event coordinator, director of development, outside sales representative, and sustainability specialist. Sustainability specialist, also a growing job. On the same list as AI? Really? That's one of the least sustainable types of emerging technologies? Great. What an amazing, wonderful dystopia we have created for ourselves. So I guess, you know, as AI takes over all the jobs and our planet continues to burn, at least people will have the opportunity to protect rich people as members of their private security. The wildfires in California have been devastating entire neighborhoods in the LA, the Palisades area, You've got high winds, dry conditions, which have led to thousands of homes, buildings, and acres of land being completely destroyed. Over 100,000 people had to evacuate. This is an absolute tragedy, all right, which has led people naturally to try to figure out who to blame for this blaze. MAGA believes they know the answer. It's those damn wokers.
The wokers.
I kid you not. I don't think any of you are really surprised that they're blaming wokeness. First, we've got President-elect Donald Trump, who ran on drill baby drill, even though burning fossil fuels is exacerbating climate change that is responsible for a lot of the drier conditions that we're seeing. Pin the blame on woke environmentalism. That's right. He said over on his platform,
Truth, essential.
Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the Water Restoration Declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Okay, look, I'm not a Gavin Newsom fan, but seriously, what are you talking about? There is no such thing as a water restoration declaration. Not in California. It's not a thing. Second of all, California has had about a half of inch of rain since May. Okay, look, right now, California is in a massive drought. Okay, it's drier than Ben Shapiro's wife. All right, that's it.
Wet ass P word.
No, there is none of that going on. Okay. Thirdly, there are record high winds up to 90 to 99 miles an hour. These are gale force winds, okay? These are the worst high winds since 2011. This is bad. UCLA climate scientist Daniel Swain referred to the high winds as an atmospheric blow dryer for its effect on trees and other vegetation, which has already been dried out. That's bad. Now, he also said climate change is increasing the overlap between extremely dry vegetation conditions later in the season and the occurrence of these wind events. So, man, you get these dry conditions, and then you get these high winds, and then there's a little bit of a spark here and there. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Disaster. That's what's going to happen. But according to the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, who got a lot of money from selling electric cars, it's not that. No. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with climate change. No. It's diversity. It's the wokeness. Libs of TikTok writes, don't you hate it when climate change appoints a DEI hire to run the fire department? Gives away the fire equipment to Ukraine. That's not true. Stops critical controlled burns. Defunds the fire department. Also not true. Refuses to build more water reservoirs to store water. Cancels fire insurance. Mismanages forests and blah, blah, blah. Wild theory, maybe the root cause wasn't climate change. Yeah. He also talked about it being diversity. He posted, DEI means people die. That's not what no. Multiple other posts featured criticism of Kristen Crowley, the LAFD chief, a 22-year veteran of the department who was commended for saving 9 homes from total destruction during the Woolsey fire in 2018 alongside her wife. Okay, Crowley is the first woman and first member of the LGBTQ community to hold the position of fire chief in LA. But apparently, her being a woman and being gay is the reason that California is burning right now. Yeah. In fact, getting back to Libs of TikTok founder Kai Rychik saying, meet Los Angeles Fire Chief Kristen Crowley. She boasts about being the first female and LGBTQ fire chief in the LA Fire Department. Promoting a culture of DEI is her priority. Does this make you feel safer? What does that have to do with any of this? They're basically saying that anyone who is a woman, who is gay or black, is not qualified to be in these positions. They're saying that only white cisgender straight males should be in leadership positions like this and doing these jobs. Let me tell you what, I am a straight cisgender male. And no, I do not belong in any position of authority like that. Okay? Make me fire chief? I don't know damn thing about being fire chief. Just because I'm a straight man does not mean that I should be a fire chief. What does any of that have to do with any of that? No, it's just giving, like, it's not really giving anything. It's just opening up the opportunity for people who are interested in being able to do these jobs and have a, obviously an education or training to do these jobs, to actually be able to do them instead of being passed over for a cis white man with the same or even possibly less education or training. Okay, again, it doesn't make any sense, right? But the irony here of this, these same people that are alleged to be the defenders of women, in reality, no, they want gays back in the closet, women back in the kitchen, and black people on the plantations. That's the way they want it. They're pretty open about it now. Now, Musk also boosted Alex Jones. Oh, here we go. Great. Oh, I wonder if this is attack from the aliens or something.
It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence. It's the devil, okay?
Well, I mean, we are in hell after all, so it must be the devil. No. He actually claimed that the fires were part of a quote-unquote globalist plot to wage economic warfare on the United States. Now, of course, globalist, that means Jewish people, right? I mean, that's what they mean by globalist. George Soros, Jews, okay? So, yeah, the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Oh, in order to deindustrialize the United States, which is pretty funny because capitalists have actually done a much better job of deindustrializing the United States with their outsourcing and the free trade agreements. So, people like Elon Musk that have fired a bunch of U.S. workers, American workers, and have brought people over on H-1B visas. Yeah, those are the people that are, doing some economic warfare on the American people to lower wages. Okay, lower wages and bring over people that they can essentially control, stripping labor rights from them. So that's what's going on. And by the way, okay, the other irony is there's so many ironies. Aren't these the same idiots who claim that California is already terrible for business and all the corporations have fled because of the taxes and the regulations? So, but apparently they're not terrible enough. So I guess the Jews have to start the wildfires using their space lasers? I don't know.
Jewish space lasers.
Insanity. It's all insanity. Obviously, no evidence of any of this, right? But, that never stops these people, never stops Elon Musk, who, by the way, in a now deleted post, responded to Alex Jones by saying, true. True? You're saying that's true? Oh, my God. Elon Musk is a fucking dipshit. All right. You got dumb people saying dumb things. And if you agree with Elon or Alex Jones or any of these people, I got bad news for you. You may also be dumb. Okay. Speaking of dumb, Don Jr. weighed in. He said, can we rename DEI to die? Since that's what seems to happen to the people downstream of those who place woke virtue signaling far above competency. Once again, the assumption is that black people, women, gay people, trans people are not competent, and so are not shouldn't be in these leadership positions. Only should be reserved for white men. Pretty ironic statement from Don Jr., who has never been really competent at anything in his life. I mean, what has he actually done other than be the son of Donald Trump? I don't know. Wow, what an accomplishment. Then, of course, you had actor James Woods, right, who said, refilling the water reservoirs would have been a welcome priority, too. But I guess she had too much on her plate promoting diversity. Then you had Megyn Kelly, who told her YouTube followers that in recent years, LA's fire chief has made not filling the hydrants top priority, but diversity. And then finally, Matt Walsh, who wrote on X, DEI is a cancer that destroys everything it touches. Okay, so now here's the question, right? What are you supposed to fill the reservoirs with if you don't have rain? Hopes and dreams? I mean, no, look, here's the thing. They can and actually have shipped water from elsewhere to fill these reservoirs. That said, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that, and false information that's going around, claiming that, for example, they cut the fire department by $17 million. Did they though? No, apparently they increased the budget by $50 million. So there was $17 million, and you know, going through the budget obviously is a pain in the ass. So people don't want to look at the details. But it turns out that $17 million was spent for new breathing equipment, which means that it's no longer, you know, available in the account because it was spent updating the breathing equipment. So, and of course, that's not a yearly expense. That is a, you know, once in a while big spend. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, the city and the state is perfect, right? No, obviously not. There's some staffing issues, for example. Okay, they got to fill more staff, fill more positions. Okay, but that said, they said that they filled the reservoirs with over a million gallons of water each. However, they had to rely, and this is the reason that they ran out so quickly, right? Combating the blaze, they were just using the hydrant system, because they couldn't use aerial firefighting methods. So no planes, okay, dropping, I don't know if it's exactly water that they use or like a mixture of things that they, you know, will fly over and dump it, right, on these fires to put them out. But they couldn't use that. So they were just relying strictly in the hydrant system. And with how just widespread and disastrous this place has been, it's not a surprise to see them start to run out of water. I mean, you have a perfect storm of factors here that are involved with making this blaze as disastrous as it is. So that said, you can argue whether or not they were funded well enough, okay, versus the police, for example, who got a lot more funding than the fire department. Okay, or if, you know, California did enough to prepare for an unusually bad drought. You could also talk about how, hey, maybe they couldn't afford fire preparedness to do as much or to increase their budget by enough to prepare for a blaze like this, because you have tax breaks that go to fossil fuel companies, okay, that have been, you know, again, have been using these specific tax loopholes to avoid paying in millions of dollars, okay, which could be used for fire preparedness. All that stuff, all those things are interesting and legitimate government discussions on how the government works, what they should be prepared for, what's the reality. Interesting discussions, right? Nobody's having it. Almost nobody's having that discussion. You know why? Because they're pinning it on the wokers. Okay, it's the wokeness. That's it. Diversity. That's a real problem. No, it's dumb. It's lazy. And by the way, also ignores the elephant in the room. The fossil fuel companies and climate change. The real problem. Okay, and the fact that we are not prepared for the results of climate change because you still have a political party a major political party that thinks it's all fake and a hoax. Even though these companies have admitted way even back in the past, okay, in the early 1900s, that, oh, yeah, it turns out what we're doing is making the planet warmer, and that's going to have some pretty disastrous effects. But, these people just want to say, no, that can't be it. Nope, that's the hoax. But this thing that we totally made up, that's what's going on. And also, black people, gay people, and women. 4 years after the 2021 Capitol riots, Canada has arrested one of the rioters after he fled to the United States. CBC reports that convicted MAGA rioter Anthony Vo was arrested this week in the province of British Columbia. Oh, there's so many ironies in this story. First, someone who is supporting Donald Trump, probably because immigration, okay, and wants to make America great again, becomes an illegal immigrant in another country. Oops. That's, yeah. On Wednesday, a spokesperson for the Canada Border Service. I almost forgot to do one of the best ironies here. Okay. Donald Trump claimed to be law and order president. And this guy's like, oh, I'm going to go to jail? No, I'm not. I'm going to skip to Canada. Now, on Wednesday, a spokesperson for the Canada Border Services Agency said Vo was arrested in Whistler on January 6th. Ironic. On a warrant under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. The agency assesses whether people coming into Canada are legally admissible and investigates those who are already here who may not be. It can arrest and detain inadmissible individuals under the act. So Vo had originally fled to Canada, being hit with a 9-month prison sentence. So he was already convicted and sentenced, and he's like, no, I'm just going to leave. He went to Canada. He attempted to claim asylum because he says, oh, I'm being politically persecuted. No, you were at the Capitol. you were in the Capitol building when you weren't supposed to be. Shockingly, or not shockingly, his attorney is claiming that his client's arrest is nothing more than political, right? Oh yes, it's political persecution. Everything bad that happens to us on the right wing, it's never our fault. No. It's always a deep state political persecution, trying to make an example of us. That's it. Whatever happened to that whole idea of personal responsibility? Remember when Republicans talked about personal responsibility? About how they got to take it? Oh, of course, they only meant poor people, but not us, right? We never have to take responsibility for ourselves. I see. Now, his attorney says, quote, he thinks that Canada is just trying to prove a point to the current U.S. government to say, oh, we're not condoning your political opponent or stuff like that. He thinks the whole thing is unfair to him, and he thinks that the entire thing is unreasonable. It's not like you're being tortured. You got arrested for illegally coming into Canada. The same thing that MAGA supporters want to do with undocumented immigrants coming through the southern border. You don't see that why should you be exempt? Why should you not have to, deal with the consequences of that? If you're saying that people coming over the border, the southern border should be rounded up and deported. I don't understand. But yeah, apparently super unreasonable to arrest this guy. Now, the other thing though is he should actually be glad that he's been, caught, because there's a good chance that if he gets sent back to the United States, deported, Trump's just going to turn around and pardon him anyway. Vo told the CBC that he was confident that this is going to be the outcome. He's already made too many promises in the public spotlight that it would look really bad if he didn't. And he's a man of his word. He's a man of his word. The guy who lied over 30,000 times the last time he was in office. He's a man of his word. Sure. Great. Yeah. That said, I mean, it is very possible that this could be one of the few promises that he keeps, because personally, releasing these people cost him nothing. And it's very likely that his DOJ and FBI picks, if they're confirmed, are probably going to end up doing this. So I'm guessing that Vo will probably be better off getting deported than staying in Canada. And if that happens, well, I think that would count, in my mind at least, as more evidence that Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about law and order or illegal immigration. Chief Twit Elon Musk has recently admitted that his goal of cutting $2 trillion in wasteful government spending is not actually going to happen. The first half of the DOGE brothers recently told Mark Penn, a Democratic pollster turned marketing executive, that the $2 trillion figure was merely aspirational. I'm aspiring to cut that much money, which means I'm not actually going to be able to cut that much money. Here's a quote. "We'll try for $2 trillion. I think that's like the best case outcome. But I do think that you kind of have to have some overage. I think if we try for 2, we've got a good chance at getting 1. That's quite a bit of overage, $1 trillion. But hold on, though. His goal was to cut at least $2 trillion. That's what he talked about all the time. Oh, yeah, I'm going to cut $2 trillion from the federal budget. Oh, really? What happened? Look, the whole time I've been saying, and I and smarter people than I, okay, have been saying, like, no, you can't just cut $2 trillion from the budget. Like, there is not enough stuff to cut from that budget. And maybe he has now realized, oh, maybe that's kind of impossible to do. Unless, of course, you go after some pretty popular things, for example, Social Security and Medicare. Now, the thing about that is, if you're looking to cut Social Security because of the debt, Social Security does not add a penny to the debt. Social Security has a trust fund that will continue paying out benefits at least until 2035. If there are no changes, 100% of benefits. Then it goes down to 85%. So that doesn't add a penny to the deficit. So why would you need to cut that? Again, it's spending that has been paid for, that is paid for. There's no borrowing money. You're not borrowing money from China, okay? Unlike other parts of the budget where the government does borrow money, all right? That said, okay, good. Social Security, Medicare off the table. Didn't say anything about Medicaid, which I'm pretty sure will likely be on the table. That said, another thing that is off the table that Elon's not going to be able to touch, that is a major expenditure, is military spending. Why? Well, both Republicans and Democrats in Congress want to continue funding the military-industrial complex. That is despite Trump and the GOP claiming we're not anti-war. No. We're totally anti-war. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then why do we need to spend more money on the military-industrial complex? More money than every other world nation in the world combined, if we're not planning on starting or continuing any wars. When you try to ask these people that question, they can never really answer it. Okay, so that said, that's another near $1 trillion right there. Okay, so there's really only a fraction of the budget that Elon Musk can work with, and it's not going to equal $2 trillion. Probably won't even equal $1 trillion. All right, I wouldn't be surprised if you could find some obscure budget items here and there. Okay. But the majority of waste that I can think of is actually just companies that overcharge the government, that are ripping off the taxpayer. Some notable examples of that include the companies Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, and Boeing. They have been overcharging the government for profit. Oh, but that's right. They're not going to get touched because they're defense contractors. Oh, they will automatically be exempt from any cuts. And that's because they have purchased members of Congress. In fact, members of the House committee overseeing the Pentagon spending actually received more than $3.8 million in campaign donations from political action committees and of individuals associated with the military industry. Those same politicians recently inserted two provisions into the National Defense Authorization Act that exempted private products and services from competitive pricing guidelines. One of those provisions expands the definition of commercial products, items available to the general public that aren't subject to the Pentagon's fair pricing controls, to include parts and components of larger products, such as planes and computers, as well as services associated with building and repairing those products. The bill also provides contractors more leeway in what they can charge the Defense Department by basing it on prices from the past 12 months, rather than continuing to require a market analysis to determine actual fair market value. That means these companies are going to have much more leeway to price gouge the taxpayer. So now the question is, how the hell does Elon think that he can close the gap between taxes and spending if he can't touch corporate welfare, which he won't because he receives a lot of corporate welfare, or anything like that? Well, he can't. He can't. And Republicans plan to make it even worse because they're going to extend Trump's tax cuts for the rich and corporations, in addition to giving more tax cuts, which at least will add up $5 trillion over an additional debt over the next decade. And again, that's in addition to trillions more in corporate tax cuts. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem. And yet, Musk is still out there saying, oh yeah, no, it'll be easy to cut federal spending. Really? Quote, in terms of saving money in the government, well, as you know, it's a very target-rich environment for saving money. It's like being in a room full of targets. Like you can close your eyes and you can't miss. That's a lie. Total lie. The guy knows absolutely nothing. He does not know what he's talking about. Okay. We do not have a spending problem in this country. Believe it or not. No, we actually have a revenue problem. Okay. The ultra rich have not only massively cut taxes on themselves and corporations, okay, but have also been able to steer billions of dollars towards the same companies in the form of subsidies. The oil companies, they're subsidized. Elon Musk's companies, subsidized. Green energy companies, subsidized. Corn industry, subsidized. I mean, you have all these industries that are getting massive tax breaks and subsidies. Sometimes they have a negative tax rate where we give them a refund for a supposedly free market, which we don't have. There's a lot of money going to these giant corporations, which, by the way, the amount of corporate welfare that we give to these companies vastly outstrips welfare in total amounts. Okay? We give more money to companies than we do helping people who are poor. That's the focus of this country right now. We help rich people and companies far more than we help the poor and the needy. That's the reality. And guess what Elon is going to focus on? What very little we have of the social safety net. Food stamps, welfare programs, veterans health care, things like that. They don't give a damn about the people that are in need. All they want to do is feed their own greed. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.